The federal government is paying a university to develop a tool that will warn journalists against polarizing content. One university in Virginia is canceling a Halloween celebration due to COVID concerns, and students at another school in Virginia are being told that they can't endorse Glenn Youngkin in the state's gubernatorial race. I'm Ophelie Jacobson, and this is the Campus Countdown. Starting off with our number 3 story of the week, the federal government is paying a university $750,000 to develop a tool that will warn journalists against publishing content that is considered polarizing. Here to tell us more about that story is Campus Reform correspondent Logan Dubill.
Thanks for having me on, Ophelia. Temple University recently received a $750,000 grant from the federally funded National Science Foundation to help researchers develop a system that will track local journalism cycles. Campus Reform reported on this grant, which serves to fund a project called the America's Fourth Estate at Risk, a system for mapping the local journalism lifecycle to rebuild the nation's news trust. The name is almost as confusing as the purpose of the project itself. The project in question is the creation of a database tool meant to inform journalists about topics or publications that may result in negative intended outcomes, an example being polarizing discourse. The project is a collaborative effort, including researchers from Temple University, University of Illinois Chicago, and Boston University, with others expected to join as it develops. Another component of the project involves creating partnerships with organizations in academia, the government, the nonprofit sector, and the journalism industry. Here's my question. Why are public universities taking this issue on? There have already been numerous instances where universities across the country have been involved with free speech issues, and now they want to be involved with local news? This kind of intervention should concern everyone, no matter what side of the political aisle you are on. Plus, public universities also receive funding from the public. Why are these funds going towards projects like this one? One of the project's main goals is to warn journalists and readers about topics that may lead to polarizing discourse. This likely means that journalists should avoid writing about controversial topics altogether. How is this improving the world of journalism? Actually, it will probably accomplish the complete opposite. Telling journalists what they can or cannot write about is not an improvement in any way. This only paves the way for censorship in the future. That's all from me. Back to you, Ophelia.
Thanks, Logan. Well, Halloween is this Sunday, and unfortunately, our colleges and universities are finding ways to ruin the fun this year, all in the name of public health and safety. The University of Virginia canceled its annual Halloween trick-or-treat festivities due to guidance from experts that say bringing unvaccinated children to campus would increase the risk of spreading the virus to the larger community. Although the event is traditionally held outdoors, the Office of the Vice President and Chief Student Affairs Officer Robin Hadley claimed in an October 15th statement that the community's health professionals still deemed it too dangerous to host. Quote, following guidance from our public health experts and in an effort to reduce potential risks to children in the community who cannot get vaccinated for COVID, as well as others who are vulnerable, trick-or-treating on the lawn will not occur this year, the statement reads. But what guidance are they actually following? The expert of science himself, Dr. Anthony Fauci, even went on CNN recently to say that kids should go trick-or-treating this year. Instead, the University of Virginia is suggesting that they put on a virtual Halloween costume contest instead. For months, Americans have been told to trust the science and to trust the experts. The University of Virginia should be doing just that and allow this event to go on as normal. And keep in mind, this event was supposed to be held outdoors. Data has shown that the spread of the virus when outside is relatively low. According to MIT Medical, most experts believe that outdoor spread accounts for likely less than 1% of coronavirus transmission. Data from the University of Florida show that there have been no coronavirus case spikes associated with college football games, another event that entirely takes place outdoors. Look, college students have already missed out on a number of traditions and activities. It's time that they return to normal. But they can't do that when their school administration is still acting as if life can't go on during this pandemic. Perhaps the scariest thing this Halloween won't be the haunted houses or the costumes. It's the fact that these college students still aren't being given the experiences they paid for or were expecting when they signed up for college. And for our top story of the week, administrators at Washington and Lee University told conservative students to cease campaigning for Glenn Youngkin, the Republican nominee for Virginia governor. The university's college Republicans displayed materials during an activities fair on September 12th. But the director of student activities, Kelsey Goodwin, told them to take the campaign materials down due to the school's tax-exempt status. The Foundation for Individual Rights in Education reported the incident on Tuesday, having sent a letter to Washington and Lee on September 23rd. FIRE's letter explained that the school's status as a 501c3 organization does not compel the university to depart from upholding students' freedom of expression. Quote, in light of increased political discourse surrounding the imminent election in Virginia, we call on the university to make clear to students that their political expression will not be restricted, the document reads. And it's important to note that FIRE reported that Goodwin sent a letter to both the college Republicans and college Democrats containing the following statement. Quote, student political organizations, college Republicans, young Democrats, etc., are not prohibited from pursuing their normal activities consistent with the academic nature of their endeavors. The school claims that this is due to the school's tax-exempt status, but make no mistake, this is a blatant attempt to control students' political expression, and frankly, the bottom line is no school has the authority to control whether or not their students engage politically in campaigns or in other activities. And look, whether you like it or not, our higher education institutions, they are hotbeds for political engagement for both students and faculty members. Campus Reform has done extensive research on campaign donations made by faculty members at our colleges and universities across the nation. And here's what we found. Employees at top public Virginia universities donated over $1.7 million to Democrats and just $147,000 to Republicans over 2 years. An exclusive report shows that 97.6% of University of Pennsylvania employees' political donations were made to Democrats. And at Brown University, employees donated to Democrats over Republicans by 262-7 ratio. So when it comes to campaign donations to Democratic candidates, these schools don't seem to have a problem with political engagement at all. It's important for students to have a voice in local and state elections, especially where they are attending school. In the Virginia gubernatorial race specifically, where education has been the primary focus of this election, Virginia students should absolutely be getting involved in this campaign. If they're going to get involved in any campaign, it should be this one, no matter which side they are supporting. And at the end of the day, our colleges are supposed to be producing well-rounded individuals who know how to think for themselves. So we should be encouraging political involvement and engagement, because when these students enter the real world, they're going to have to be engaged in government and in politics as well. That's just the nature of how this country works. And so if students are only exposed to one candidate or one viewpoint on campus, they're never going to know how to think for themselves and make a decision on a candidate, especially when they go to the voting booth. And for our woke tweet of the week, we're taking a look at a professor who is standing up to the woke mob. Dr. David Romps, director of the Berkeley Atmospheric Science Center, announced his resignation Monday in an apparent protest of his colleagues' refusal to hear from a scientist who was recently canceled for having differing political views. In the October 18th thread, Romps tweeted that he tried to invite scientist Dorian Abbott after his planned lecture at MIT was canceled. This story was making headlines just a couple of weeks ago, but just in case you missed it, here's a summary. Abbott, who's an associate professor at the University of Chicago, was slated to deliver the prestigious Carlson Lecture at MIT. He was disinvited by the school after woke students found out that Abbott believes university applicants should be treated as individuals and evaluated through a rigorous and unbiased process based on their merit and qualifications alone. Romps tweeted, quote, last month, the MIT Department of Earth, Atmospheric, and Planetary Sciences canceled a science lecture because of the invited scientist's political views. Romp says he proposed inviting the scientists, tweeting that, quote, extending the invitation now would reaffirm that BASC is a purely scientific organization, not a political one. This professor is showing that we should be hearing from speakers and scholars based on their knowledge rather than their political ideology. It's outrageous that intelligent scholars are being canceled simply for holding beliefs outside of their field of study. But one silver lining to all of this, I think we're really starting to see a new wave of professors who are leaving this toxic environment that has been created by students and faculty who refuse to put politics aside in the classroom or in lecture halls. So I applaud this professor for taking a bold stand against the cancel culture and woke mob environment that has really seeped into our higher education institutions over the past couple of years. Those are all the top stories we have for you today. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to give this video a like and to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow along with all of the college craziness on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Campus Reform. As always, we'll be back next week with another episode of the Campus Countdown. But for now, I'm Ophelie Jacobson. Thanks for watching.